Today on the 10-12 podcast, myself and Jamie are joined by Joe Goodman of the Baylor podcast and Pete Sousa of Inside the 12, the Big 12's new football show, to recap Week 6 in the Big 12. West Virginia good, Oklahoma State bad. A lot of crazy stuff happened. Fourth quarter tragedy for Kansas again. We're going to also look at the Big 12's non-conference wins and why they are concerning, and the national perception of the Big 12 moving forward and the team that can fix it.
Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
This episode is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like, to check you have the tickets in your wallet first before you drive 2 hours to the big game. Seriously, you had one job. Now the closest you'll get to the 50-yard line is parking lot D. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
Welcome to the 10-12, the podcast that covers all 16 teams in the Big 12 Conference. We are the flagship show, the 10-12 Network. Find every show on the network at 1012network.com. And of course, we are partners with Sports Social, Europe's biggest sports podcast network. I'm your host, Phillip Slavin. Thank you for joining us on this Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever you're listening to the show. We are here to recap what happened in Week 6. Of course, if you are listening, please do us a favor. Leave us 5 stars and a review. It would really help the show out. Wherever it is that you listen, whatever rating system or application they have, if you would leave us a positive one, that would be great. If you're listening on YouTube, leave a comment, subscribe. We would greatly appreciate it. Help us reach some new Big 12 fans. Always looking to grow the show and the network as a whole. Joining me today, she is the hottest thing in Iowa, because it was 90 degrees this weekend, so she was legitimately hot while having to call Drake soccer. She is the voice of Drake soccer, the voice of Drake volleyball, the voice of Iowa State women's basketball. She is the vibe queen of the 10-12 network. We call her JSJ, Jamie Steyer-Johnson.
She is tired, man. And honestly, that intro works because that makes it sound valid for me to be tired. But coming off of a riveting draw for Drake men's soccer. And that's going to sound sarcastic, but it's not. I enjoy soccer now. I understand it enough, I think. I don't generally worry about if I sound like an idiot on air, but we had one of the 2 matches pointed out by Top Drawer Soccer. I don't know. Apparently they do the soccer stuff in the US for college, and they said, hey, Western Michigan at Drake, watch it. So I don't know, maybe we had more people watching. No one shares with me the ratings either, but it was fun. It was really good. And I only called Western Michigan Central Michigan twice, and then I wrote West on my hand so that I would quit doing that. And a lot of people I saw today, I told them that, and they said, well, I was wondering what that was for, but I didn't want to ask. So also Iowa State won.
Sounding like an idiot has never stopped this guy either. Filling in for our good friend Andy Mitz, he is Joe Goodman, one half of the Bear Den podcast, the Baylor show here at the 10-12 Network. Joe, welcome back.
Unearned confidence is what my life is all about. But speaking of soccer, I mean, my soccer team joined in with my college football team to both have solid leads that they would just blow away and just get blown out. And I had to be, my soul had to be saved from the Houston Texans earlier today. And they tried to do the same thing, tried to jump out to a big lead and give that thing up. So thank God my soul was not completely crushed in football in all forms over the last 2 days.
Someone had your back.
Yeah. If nobody got me, Kaimi Fairbairn got me.
All I know is Nico left that game, and that's not good for my fantasy teams.
Early reports are it's a minor injury. He should be back next week.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness. We're not here to talk about the Houston Texans or my dynasty football leagues, unless you'd like to hear about my 4-time champion dynasty team. Just kidding. Joining us for the second half hour will be Pete Sousa, who co-hosts the new Inside the Big 12 show on YouTube and Big 12 Studios. Very excited to be having him here on the show for the second half hour. We got to get this first half hour rolling. Week 6 was absolutely incredible college football. Don't you? Every year there's that weekend where everyone's like, no, you could just skip this weekend. There's nothing to watch here. None of these matchups are any good. And you're always like, yeah, haven't we ever learned anything? Are you new to this sport? Have you just become a fan? Or are you just spewing out BS nonsense national college football analyst crap? Because these are the weekends you don't miss. These are the weekends you at least make sure that if you are going to, as we called it, don't get divorced Saturday, do some other things to appease members of your family, that you're still near a TV or that you have your phone ready so that you can keep track of things like Vanderbilt soundly beating Alabama or Arkansas coming back to win against Tennessee, a game that I watched at home with my wife, of course, a bunch of Tennessee fans, or everything else that went down, Missouri getting shellacked. No one in the Big 12 was sad to see that, even if it was by A&M. USC and Michigan both losing. Just incredible stuff. And it's just a great weekend of college football. And the Big 12 played its part. It played its part, being chaotic and weird and fun and doing the thing that the Big 12 does, because if you look at the standings as of today, that's just like we all predicted before the start of the season. Right? We all said, you know what? You know who's going to be here roughly halfway through the season? Looking and feeling good atop the Big 12 standing? It's going to be Texas Tech. Of course it's going to be Texas Tech. Texas Tech, of course they're going to be the first team to be 3-0 in Big 12 action, joined by 2-0 BYU, Iowa State, Colorado, and West Virginia, just like we all drew it up. Okay, it's just like we all
do you recall what my prediction was about this season? The sole prediction that I would make.
It had something to do with Iowa State? Probably.
I can't imagine an Iowa State fan pick themselves.
Okay.
No, God, no. I said I didn't think that Utah was going to win the conference.
That's right.
And I refused to say anything else.
Yeah.
And so, maybe being really broad and not all that controversial, although I will say a lot of people were very confident about Utah, so mildly controversial, but being overly broad does have its perks, to be sure.
They're 1-1.
But I'm looking.
They're 1-1.
Okay.
They're 1-1.
Yeah, but there are some other people that are on this show whose prediction is certainly out of the likely realm of possibility.
He is not here today.
Since I have you here, Phillip, I do want to point out that last year I was super low on the Oklahoma State train, and I think I picked them to finish 13th in the conference last year. And I was like, why is everybody else picking them? And then I realized it was because they had an easy schedule. I feel a bit vindicated this year, as it turns out that Oklahoma State is bad. They're just bad a year late.
They're bad. We'll get to that in a minute. We should have seen all of this coming. We should have seen this weekend coming, because it started off with a big hint that it was coming. Let's run through the games. Houston 30, TCU 19. This was the grand omen of the weekend to come, that Houston would go on the road to TCU and not only score their first points in Big 12 action this year, but put up 30 on TCU. I fully expect Parker Fleming's "how bad did we get beat" for this game to be closer than an 11-point loss would indicate, but that's what happens when you lose the turnover battle 4-0 TCU. That's not great. More so, TCU's defense is a long ways from what we came to expect during the Gary Patterson days. Houston's 361 yards are only 18 fewer than they racked up against Rice. Again, this is the second most points Houston has scored this season. They put up 33 against Rice, 30 against TCU, and the next best was 12. So, not ideal. Shout out, we like to talk about perfect tweets and people being petty, because if we can't be petty in college football, I don't know where you can be petty. GoCougs.com with a tweet after the game. Houston moves to 2-0 in Southwest Conference play after having beat TCU and Rice this season. For Houston, the defense continues to be solid. This time, the offense actually paid it off. Defense forces turnovers, including 3 by TCU quarterback Josh Hoover. If you're Houston, you celebrate the win and enjoy yourself, especially knowing that you've found your quarterback in Zion Chris, who put on quite a show in his first career start. 15 for 18, 141 yards, and a touchdown through the air. 11 carries for 97 yards and a touchdown on the ground. For TCU, it's hard not to feel the lowest of lows, especially considering it was less than 2 years ago the Frogs played for a national championship. Hi, remember that? Y'all remember? It feels like a long time ago now.
No, I don't. I don't remember that at all. Never
Parker Fleming.
I know they didn't win the Big 12 that year.
They did not. Parker Fleming posted after the loss, current projected win probabilities for TCU's remaining games. They are projected to go 2.56, 3.44. So they might get to a bowl game this year. It's possible. It's possible. Sonny Dykes is now 21-12 as a head coach at TCU. That's a good record, right? 21-12. That's the kind of thing you want. Right, you want to be building up to a 12-0 start to his season. Wait a minute, that's right. He started 12-0 and has gone 9-12 since. Joe?
They're
Thoughts on this game?
basically he's doing what we call a classic Aranda. That's the move that he's currently making up until with.
Sonny Dykes,
This
Dave
was
Aranda,
the best game of the week.
Is it Dave Aranda and Sonny Dykes are just like the Spider-Man meme of pointing at each other?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's gonna be a buddy cop movie when they end up somewhere as the OC and the DC together.
I want to say that Houston made a good effort on the post-game tweet, captioning it hypnocougs.mp4, but not actually making a video is lame, and it makes me think that they didn't believe in themselves enough to have something prepared, which, like, on the one hand, valid, but also, like, hey, I mean, is time really wasted if that's what you're creating and you don't end up using it? I mean, just use that internally as motivation or something. I don't know, but I was really looking forward to my weekly video, and I was disappointed.
Yeah, but I'm betting you that Houston's like media team probably is not the size of, like, you know, what you may experience at a Colorado or an Iowa State or some of these other places too. So
But
not only did they not expect to win.
It's shocking. Like, I think we were sold this Houston with money that I don't think is actually the reality that we were sold. If you don't have the video ready, you always have the video ready. Nah, we're going to win this game. Like, always have the video ready.
Yeah,
always have it ready.
Always.
I mean, you can't find a Zoomer on campus, please.
Especially on a week when we got
that video.
When we got the Chapel Roan Jaden Ott video, like you can't have the Calgorithm out here looking like this and you having nothing.
Well,
in a conference, Phillip, that prides itself on being terminally online as well.
Cal is selling itself to me as it should have been a Big 12 invite
based
off
they deserve to be in.
social media presence.
They would be perfect in this conference now.
Oh,
it would be great. We need to get them in it. We need to figure it out.
Cal,
get them over here.
We need like
no more movement. I'm begging. just stay, everybody. Until we figure. It's one of those, like, until we figure out what the hell's going on. Everybody
freeze.
Okay. All right. We'll move on. Arizona State 35, Kansas 31. This is why Andy's not here. I'm just kidding. He's doing a work thing. He's in a hotel. We gave him the night off. Game of the weekend in the Big 12. Absolutely game of the weekend. That was completely overshadowed by the fact that there were other crazy things going on. An absolutely great game. Back and forth affair. Not going to be the headline, with all the major upsets, but 5 lead changes in the fourth quarter. An incredible touchdown with 16 seconds left for Arizona State to get the win. Obviously, the passing game was significantly more effective for Arizona State after cornerback Kobe Bryant went out for Kansas. That had a huge impact on that Kansas defensive backfield. But Arizona State was the better team, if not outside of just the 2 turnovers. Okay. They lost the turnover battle. Everything else was Arizona State. And Kansas choked away another game. Now, this is completely out of context Arizona State stuff. I have to do this because Kenny Dillingham went on a radio show before this game, and I would love to provide you context for this quote. I don't have good context for this quote because it's just funny, and that's all that matters, is sometimes there are things in life that we're allowed to just enjoy and chuckle at. So I'm just going to play this for all of you to hear and enjoy, and hopefully this will translate in the recording. We'll see what happens. Otherwise, I'll just throw it into the pod myself manually. Let's see what happens if everyone can hear this.
At the end of the day, this is an entertainment industry. So, you go to the movie theaters and you watch like Mighty Ducks 1, Mighty Ducks 2, Mighty Ducks 3, and you're like, dang, this is good. I'm going to go see Mighty Ducks 4. And then you're like, what the heck is this? That's sports. Okay. And that's the definition of it. You can't let it rattle you. You can't let it not make another Mighty Ducks. You just go make another one. Right. And that's just the nature of the beast.
That's one of that's my new favorite quote. That's up there with "I'm a man, I'm 40." They're fat little girlfriends, and now we've got a quote from Kenny Dillingham about Mighty Ducks 1, Mighty Ducks 2, Mighty Ducks 3, and the fact that Mighty Ducks 4 is garbage.
Do you want to know how many years ago the first Mighty Ducks movie came out?
There is currently the daughter of a player I cheer for my freshman year of college at Oklahoma State that is playing volleyball for BYU. I do not need more things to point out to me just how old I actually am right now.
All right. Well, Emilio Estevez said, quack, 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 Mr. Ducksworth 32 years ago.
Oh, God.
I think that I should be hosting more talk radio because my life is so obnoxious. So if that's like half the job, I kind of forgot about the reason I don't listen to that stuff mostly. But like, I'd be so good at it. I can like listen and then for like another 4 or 5 seconds. Bro, pay me real wages to do that, please, as opposed to what I have to cobble together now. Let me know. I'll do it.
All right, so new goal for us is get Jamie a radio job, probably somewhere in Iowa. She is the new voice of sports in the state of Iowa, so we'll keep working on that.
We have the technology. I think it's the internet. It could be anywhere.
Absolutely, 1012 radio
for your Dubuque commute. It's JSJ at 5.
That better be the evening commute, because.
All right, Kansas side of this. And look, props to Arizona State. This season continues to just be a ton of fun. They are a must-watch every week. They have to have a short week turnaround to host Utah this week. It's going to be a game we'll talk about coming up in a bit. For Kansas, you finally have a turnover-free game. Jalen Daniels finally doesn't throw an interception, and it doesn't matter. 5 straight losses for the Jayhawks. Let me run you through a little thing here real quick. Led Illinois by 4 with 9:35 left in the fourth quarter. That game was a loss, by the way. Led UNLV by 4 with 2 minutes and 1 second left in the fourth quarter. That was a loss. Led West Virginia by 3 with 27 seconds left in the fourth quarter. That was a loss. Led TCU by 3 with a minute 47 left in the third quarter. That was a loss. Led Arizona State by 3 with 17 seconds left in the fourth quarter. That was a loss. We can talk about Grimes. We can talk about Jalen Daniels' regression. We can talk about Kobe Bryant's injury in the Arizona State game. We can talk about all sorts of things. Right now, Kansas cannot close games. You have had a lead in the fourth quarter in 4 of your 5 losses. Kansas cannot close out games. It is it is maddening. It is frustrating. It's one of those things you watch, you just go, I don't know why. Like, as someone who has not played or coached football, I'm not sure what the answer is when that's the situation that arises, but that is the situation for Kansas right now.
Hear me out. Hear me out. Best 1 in 5 team in the country.
Hang a banner for that.
I've made a grave
Hey,
error in bringing
there have
Joe
been other times
on
when
with Jamie.
Kansas was 1-5, and they could not say that they were the best 1-5 team in the country.
I've made a grave error bringing on two vibe people onto the show at the same time.
I mean, it's only a grave error if you actually wanted to get through your rundown.
Nah, it's fine. We're gonna.
In every other way, it's a massive success.
Like it again. This don't confuse this 1-5 start with like Kansas is back to where they were 5 years ago. You're leading in fourth quarters of games. It's that the loss of Kotelnicki was way bigger than we gave it credit for.
Oh, such a clutch off-season pickup, Dave.
I was worried we'd bring back the same team.
I meant those blackout motorized shades.
Blinds.com made it crazy affordable to replace our old blinds.
Hard to install?
No, it's easy. I installed these and then got some for my mom. She talked to a design consultant for free and scheduled a professional measure and install.
Hall of Fame son.
They're the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings in the world.
Blinds.com is the GOAT.
Shop Blinds.com's primetime kickoff event. Save up to 50% off select styles, plus doorbusters. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Iowa State 43, Baylor 21. Iowa State is 5-0 for the first time since 1980. I actually thought it was further back than that. I had done my research. I did poor research. I've really got to stop multitasking things. But it's hard to go season by season and look at schools' records to be like, when was the last time they started 5-0? How old were you then? I wasn't born yet, so I can't imagine you were.
I was 16 years from being born.
Oh, man.
I'm done. Okay, enough with you people aging me. It was a close game early, kind of like the Houston game. The Cyclones pulled away in the second half. Iowa State looks like the most complete team in the Big 12 through 6 weeks. I am curious how they're going to hold up as the season progresses. The injuries on defense, especially at linebacker, are a real concern. There was like a fourth string walk-on linebacker playing in this game. It is something that's going to probably come back to bite them unless they can start getting healthy. Jaden Higgins continues to be awesome. The duo of him and Jalen Noel remain the best wide receiver duo in the Big 12. And as for Baylor, Joe, I'll let you talk here in just a second. Texas State played on Thursday, so I expect that G.J. Kennedy probably spent the weekend updating his resume.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. I expected to lose this game, and it didn't hurt any less. Like, it's one of those things where, like, I go into it just being like, you know what, like, it's house money. It's house money. And then we go up 14-3, and I sat there and I convinced myself. I was like, you know, we're actually doing this. This is gonna happen. We're gonna do this, and I'm gonna talk so much. I'm gonna run my mouth so much to so many people, and then I just like shriveled up into a little hole and didn't even watch the end of the game. They keep doing it to me.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. If you go into a game knowing you're gonna lose, I would rather just get blown out so that I can go about
than
be given false hope, be sucked into the game for 3 hours for the outcome to be the thing I knew it was going to all along. It's the hope that kills you. That's the line. It's the hope that kills you.
Yeah, I got home. I was sweating because, you know, soccer in 90-degree weather. And so that makes it sound like I played. Calling soccer 90-degree weather. Press box, not air conditioned. So, you know, I am going through it. But
I cannot believe that the Drake soccer press box does not have air conditioning. Jamie, this is a shocker for me. It's a shocker.
It's a brand new stadium. They built it with the Des Moines Public Schools for their football. There's a lot of events that happen there. I just feel like they could have put a fan in. But anyway, so I got to sit down and watch the game, and it started out, and I'm sitting there like, I kind of wish I was not watching this right now. And I was a little bit irritated, but then it turned around very quickly and very convincingly, and then it was all fine. But man, I got kind of scared for a second there because it felt like the classic sort of Iowa State sort of thing, which has happened in like 2 consecutive weeks where the very beginning of the game feels like this is where it happens. This is where it all comes crumbling down, but it didn't. And that is an extremely welcome development in my world.
It's very Matt Campbell-esque to do this, to the first quarter is always just like, we're just going to feel around and then we're going to dominate you for 3. That's kind of what I was. And I fear right now that, that we are at a point that many Big 12 fans have thought may never come and have always known if it did happen, it would be a very, very bad day. And it's that Iowa State does finally have a consistent offense. Because that's always been the thing, right? Like you know their defense is going to travel. They're going to play defense in and out. Heacock's amazing. Matt Campbell's a great defensive coach. But for whatever reason, there's just been ineptitude to be consistently good on offense. And now you've got the wide receiver combo out there. Rocco Beck's a great quarterback. And Taylor Mauser seems to know what he's doing up in the booth. So it's a scary thing. They might win 10 games this year.
Again, when's the last time Iowa State had 2 legit wide receiver ones? Not during the Matt Campbell era. There's many years they didn't have one. And a tight end does not count when I say wide receiver 1. I didn't say pass catcher 1. I said wide receiver. Those are 2 different position groups. So I know Iowa State's legit. Look, Iowa State's legit. Yes, the schedule from a Big 12 standpoint has Houston and then Baylor. West Virginia's next week. Sets Riot Bowl. Going to be something to talk about here in just a bit. Speaking of the Mountaineers, West Virginia 38, Oklahoma State 14. This is what West Virginia's offense operating at full speed looks like and what we thought they might look like coming into the season. Running the ball well and taking the pressure off of Garrett Green. When they can run the ball as well as they did against Oklahoma State, which actually has a lot more to do with Oklahoma State's absolutely porous run defense. But when they can run the ball effectively, that is how good West Virginia offense can look. Props to West Virginia, 2-0 in conference standings. Non-conference doesn't matter anymore. Arlington is a possibility. That's where I'm going to leave that. Go listen to Raspy Voice Kids. Brandon and Jeremy are having a heck of a time. It's a ton of fun. Oklahoma State. They are off next week, so I might save some of my ranty diatribe stuff. I did it last year after the 2-2 start. Right, the end is near. And then they turned the season around because Mike Gundy is the living embodiment of the Jesse Pinkman meme. He can't keep getting away with this because Mike Gundy is literally a cockroach, and every time you think that he is dead, he will crawl out of a crack and rise back up, and they'll spit out 10 wins and probably get to Arlington again because that's what Mike Gundy does. This is the second time in 2 years we've been sitting here having to have we need to have a conversation about Oklahoma State football. It's the third time we've had to do this since 2020 with all the off-field stuff. I'm not saying they're going to have the conversation, but there's going to have to be a conversation about Oklahoma State. Let me remind you of a quote that Mike Gundy had before the season. I love fall camp because it's the end of negotiating season. Tell your agents to stop calling me. Just a reminder. Maybe that should have been a bigger indicator of where we're at with things. The most glaring issue for Oklahoma State this year, the time of possession for OSU in this game. And we hammered this back with Utah. Or with Kansas. Yeah, with Utah. OSU held the ball for 17 minutes and 24 seconds. It's the lowest total in program history. The previous lowest total was the Utah game of 17 minutes, 31 seconds 2 weeks ago. They have now set the 2 worst time of possession games of the history of the program in the last 3 weeks. The week off, the idle week could not have come at a better time. This is when they usually get things figured out. I'm not sure how you figure out as the podcasting is obviously a visual medium and you can't see me waving my arm wildly, all of that's going on. That's not good. Again, shout out to Raspy Voice Kids. Go check out Feels Like 45. Cade and Dustin will do a great job of optimistically breaking things down. I look forward to seeing them take that challenge on after this first 3-game losing streak to start conference play for Mike Gundy-led Oklahoma State since his first season in 2005. Texas Tech 28, Arizona 22. If you look at the box score, Arizona outplayed Texas Tech. Almost 100 more yards more, fewer penalty yards, won the time of possession, had more scoring drives, more drives inside the opponent 30. But Texas Tech capitalized on the opportunities better than Arizona did. Here are Arizona's drives that reached the Texas Tech 30 or better. Field goal, turnover on downs, interception, field goal, touchdown, field goal, missed field goal. Texas Tech scored when they had the opportunity. They scored touchdowns to the opportunities. Arizona kicked field goals or did nothing. Like, this is one of those games you look at. I cannot wait to see Parker Fleming's How Bad Did We Get Beat? Like this one and then the Houston TCU one. I'm very interested to see what those look like based off of my expectation of how he usually does this. They should be interesting and fun things to see. Also, Taj Brooks. One quick note on Taj Brooks. He is now third in the all-time career rushing yards at Texas Tech. He's 81 yards away from first. He is averaging about 113 yards per game. Taj Brooks is going to go down as the career rushing leader at Texas Tech when the season is over, but definitely by like the next week or two.
Arizona almost doubled their first downs and had the ball for 13 more minutes than them too. Like it's a wild thing to lose a game like this for Arizona. And at home. That's the other, like I look at these stats and at first I was like, oh yeah, this was in Lubbock, right? Like, no, it wasn't in Lubbock. But hey,
hold on.
Joey's got some stuff going on. Like I thought they were going to be bad. Like they didn't look great against Washington State. They didn't look great against Abilene Christian.
But they did this on the road. Texas Tech's problem with under the Joey McGuire era is they're not being great on the road. So I'm starting to wonder, look, we can talk about BYU being the team of destiny. Shout out to teamrankings.com. Absolutely love them. Number 2 in luck rankings and ratings right now is BYU. Texas Tech is number 10. Like, there's a little bit of good juju around the Red Raiders right now. And when we see good juju teams, BYU or Baylor in 21, right?
Yeah, everything bounced our way in 21. Everything bounced our way except for the TCU
championship. Well, the
oh my
TCU
God.
when they went to national championship. Like, if you're going to get to Arlington in the Big 12, you got to have some luck and some good juju. Again, fans don't like when you say that their team is lucky. It feels like you're not giving them credit. What is luck? Luck is when preparation meets opportunity. You have to be able to take advantage of the opportunities when they present themselves. BYU and Texas Tech. We'll talk about them again here in a minute. Jamie, as always, any final thoughts before you bounce?
Yeah, it's time to bring some professionalism back to this group and kick me out of here. But you sent our group chat the women's basketball preseason poll and said we'll talk about it this week. That obviously didn't happen, but what you can do is look for on my social media the fact that I recorded a preview that did not even get to half of the teams in the Big 12 with Mark Schindler that nearly hit 2 hours because we are insane people. So that's probably dropping this week. And so you can like click through and try to find 10 palatable minutes of that because I don't anticipate many people taking the 2 hours besides my parents. And honestly, it might just be one of them. But that'll be going. I don't know, all my other stuff, her hoop stats. I've got that stuff posted. Basketball. I'll make us talk about it soon. But in the meantime, I'll talk to y'all later. Enjoy your football talk. I know you'll miss my analysis.
Speaking of things you don't want to miss, and I know I did say we were going to do that, and then I forgot to actually put it in the rundown. And if I don't put it in the rundown, reminder, I have 3 small children, 5 and under. My memory is the best that it can be at the age of 40 with 3 small children. But speaking of things you don't want to miss, charliehustle.com, your place for the best Big 12 gear. If you're looking for comfortable vintage college sports apparel, Charlie Hustle is where you want to go. They love the Big 12. They love the Big 12. Why do you think they have all 16 teams available? They've got great gear for all of them. If it's on sale, great. Throw it in the cart. Maybe you're done. Maybe you're not. Maybe it's just for you. Maybe it's for family, for friends. Maybe you're already doing some holiday shopping. It is October. If it's not on sale, 101215, TEN1215. That's the promo code for this show and for the entire network. 101215 gets you 15% off all non-sale items. Notice I didn't say first-time purchase because, again, every podcast is someone's first. Maybe this is the first time they've heard about our promo code. Maybe it's the first time they've heard about Charlie Hustle. Maybe they're like, I haven't bought any new stuff for my school in a long time. Well, now is the time, okay? I know that we just talked about a hot weekend, But temps are dropping. I've got a high of 78 on Monday that I'm very much looking forward to. It's not quite sweater weather yet, but you might as well go ahead and stock up on some hoodies and some sweaters and some long sleeves so that when that chill first blows across and we get that true college football weather, you are prepared. So go to charliehustle.com, promo code 101215, TEN1215, 15% off all non-sale items. Charlie Hustle, vintage, made fresh.
When it comes to towing, seeing is believing. That's why Chevy Truck's advanced camera technology offers up to 8 available cameras for 14 unique views, so you can focus on the view that really matters. Chevrolet, together let's drive. Learn more about Chevy Trucks at Chevy.com. Safety or driver assistance features are no substitute for the driver's responsibility to operate the vehicle in a safe manner. Read the vehicle owner's manual for important feature limitations and information.
All right, as Jamie exits, we always bring in a guest, or at least attempt to. I'm very excited about today's guest. If you have not watched the new Inside the Big 12 show, that is available on Big 12 YouTube, as well as the Big 12's cool new streaming platform, he is one of the co-hosts of that show, Pete Sousa. Pete, welcome to the 1012, sir.
Phillip, what's up, man? Joe, little sickum for you.
Hey, that's the way to go, man. We're surviving. We're surviving. We're not.
We're not even surviving. But yeah, it's good to see you guys, and it's good to be here to be a part of this show. I listen to you guys a lot, especially when I'm prepared for particular games. Like Phillip, even some of the numbers you were just dropping right there, that I'm stealing the Oklahoma State time of possession one from you. I promise that. That is a knock you on your rear end stat. It is a window into a team that has a potential Heisman candidate coming into the season running the football. It's just night and day from what the so-called experts, a lot of us thought they were going to be.
I mean, we'll get into a few things, but I mean, you just look at the way Gundy has been, and I know some people want to say, well, he doesn't care, No, he seems frustrated. He has called out the coaching staff in comments after games this season. That is just not what he does. Like, he has seemed very uncharacteristic Gundy in a very, like, we don't know how to fix this problem. Like, and maybe that's not the case, but that's the vibe I'm getting, which is not a vibe we ever get from Mike Gundy. Like, we just don't get, like, it's always like, cool, calm, it's fine, we're going to go do coach speak things, let me make some jokes, let me go fix a humming drink vending machine, like all the, the usual Gundy stuff. And instead, we're getting comments about the coaching staff that makes you kind of go, they thought that they would be better than this, and they don't know how to fix it. Like, it's getting better, they're getting better with Ollie, but like, Alan Bowman ain't it. They don't seem to really think that either of the other guys on the roster are it. The offensive line still is not great run blocking. The defense can't stop anybody running the ball. It is an overall catastrophic, like, we got a problem.
Yeah, even him talking before, after their loss to Kansas State going into this past game, hey, he was telling his players, hey, I can't wait to see where we go from here. Our backs are against the wall. This is one I love to find out about my team. It's like that psychological stuff, and clearly that's not working either. That's not a rabbit that he's been able to pull out of a hat. And maybe it's because he's trying to get these guys because they're so vulnerable right now. Now they're extremely vulnerable, right, after this most recent loss that I didn't see coming for sure. It's something I don't think any of us expected. At least I didn't.
OSU is off this next week, but I do want to move on. We got one more game to recap real quick. UCF 13, Florida 24. Like, I was the guy in the preseason who put UCF like number 4 on my preseason ballot, and I'm sorry, I was wrong. Shahan, you were on the show. If you were listening, I was wrong. You were right. You were right to laugh at me for being that high on UCF. I really did think that this offense would be better and that KJ Jefferson would be better. And I forgot that Ted Roof is a bad defensive coordinator. I don't know why he was hired.
Hey, this game doesn't affect your ability to be right about them finishing 4th, though. Non-con, baby. They could come back.
Did Colorado break UCF? Did Colorado break them? Like, because they were in this game with Florida, and like, I don't
Oh, did Colorado break us? I can use that as an excuse.
I feel like whoever broke UCF, it's such a shame because I think it was a golden opportunity that slipped through the program's fingertips. Just you have that big noon kickoff come to town. You're playing Colorado. Everybody is watching you. All the recruits are there to watch you. And then you don't win that game. Obviously, it's a thud, right? That loss to Colorado, and then you go to the Swamp. So you got a vulnerable Florida team that maybe you can win an in-state recruiting battle with a victory. Hadn't played them in 18 years, and you get beat up again. And so now here you are. It's like the shine is really off, and they're looking for answers. I mean, coming into last game or coming into this Florida game, Gus Malzahn said, and he was right to say it. Hey, our goals, our program goals are still intact. The one loss, and now it changes a lot of stuff. Although Joe does make a good point as far as it is a non-con loss, so they still can finish fourth. Shoot, they can finish higher if they keep winning.
Yeah, they've like a get right game, if you can even call it that this year. Cincinnati's better than they were last year, I think. But you come back, you've got Cincinnati at home, but then you've got at Iowa State and home versus BYU, followed by Arizona at home. Like,
yeah,
those two games, like Iowa State and BYU. I mean, we can talk all day about how it is true. Like I brought it up, like Florida's a non-con game, but if you lose that Cincinnati game, your season might be done at that point.
Yeah,
because you're not winning both of Iowa State and BYU. It's just not happening.
You've already had two players, including Colton Boomer, their kicker, announce that they're done for the year. One of them, there was a wide receiver that announced it already. So you've got two guys who have already like, we're good, we're done. Like I'm not gonna say quit factor yet, but you got trashed by Colorado, and then you lost to the team you hate the most in Florida that never wants to play you, and you had an opportunity you didn't capitalize, and now you got to go back to Big 12 play, and maybe the offense will bounce back. I'm not worried about the Arizona game. It's the space game. UCF doesn't lose the space game. Arizona's about to learn what space game is. We'll get to that later. As you have mentioned, this was a non-conference. It's led me to a question that's been bugging me, because it leads to another conversation we're going to have about the Big 12 and the national media's eyes. I'm going to ask you gentlemen a question that I have had a hard time answering myself, so I'm curious your answers. And I already know Joe's struggled with it, and the way that Pete's looking at me right now, he's got the same problem. What are the 5 best non-conference wins for the Big 12 this season? Joe, I'm going to let you take this one first, sir. What you got?
All right, so I'll start with what I think is the best one, and that's BYU at SMU. That's an ACC win. SMU has played pretty well this year. They're a very solid team, and BYU went on the road and beat them. So I have that. That's the top one. Next up, I have Iowa State, Iowa. It's a Big Ten school. I know Iowa just got the doors blown off them by Ohio State. They're not the Iowa from the last couple of years, but it's still a solid football team, a well-coached football team, a good defense, a Big Ten school. So you got that there. And then after that, it kind of fell off a cliff for me. So I have K-State, Tulane. That one's on my list. I've got Oklahoma State over Arkansas, just because they're an SEC school, I guess. And they're a higher quality SEC school than Mississippi State. But I got cheeky with it here, Phil. And my number 5 on the list is actually Cincy's 1-point loss.
No, that was mine. That was. I literally, it's right here. I had Cincy barely losing to Pitt. I had that as my 5th.
Yeah. Great minds, baby. Great minds.
Yeah.
This is worse than I imagined.
Pitt's undefeated, right? But that's a state of affairs. I had the same exact list. I think yesterday's win for Arkansas makes that Oklahoma State win look a little better, but it's craziness when you look at the non-con schedule and you look at there's no, and BYU's win, of course, right? Like, is something we never expected. Nobody expected BYU to be any good, and nobody expected SMU to be ranked 25th right now.
I mean, that's the easy number 1, which is a problem.
Yeah,
like SMU's 5-1, and they just got ranked 25th after knocking off Louisville. Like, there's not really even that much respect for SMU. So your best win is a win in conference that we all agree with is not going to get any respect at all. I would agree with Iowa State over Iowa. Look, would it shock anybody if Iowa then went 9-3? I don't know their Iowa schedule, and I'm not about to look it up. But like, it'd be very Iowa to beat up on everybody and then lose to Penn State or somebody as well, and have an Iowa season, and the win could look better. Arkansas is 4-2 now. They got the win over Tennessee. I wish you should have lost that game, but Arkansas chose to lose it instead, I think is a better way of describing that one, but it still counts. The problem is now that OSU's lost 3 in a row, it's like, what does that actually mean for the conference if OSU's not any good? Like, the win over Tulane's nice. TCU over Stanford because Stanford's a power conference team. And then you get into it. I'm not kidding. You're getting to like UCF's win over 5-2 Sam Houston.
I put
you're getting
one I put on there was Arizona State winning at Texas State.
Yeah, I have
Thursday night. Yeah, and that's kind of a raucous environment, whatever. But yeah, that speaks to what we're talking about.
Power 5 teams absolutely can lose to Texas State. That's not a rare thing. Yeah, that's a super common thing that everybody happens to everybody.
Yeah,
right. Baylor. But this is part of what's causing the Big 12 some national perspective headache this year at the worst time possible, right? OU and Texas leave. Utah has lost a game because Cam Rising. Kansas State got after dark provoed, which can happen to anyone, right? But still, like, Iowa State's your lone undefeated now, and their best win, Iowa's out of the rankings. And so you've got this problem of this Saturday was awesome, right? We loved this Saturday because of all these massive upsets. Was 7 top 12 teams, 5 top 12 teams? I don't remember. I can't keep track of it all. Point was, this is an awesome weekend, right? And you look at all the national podcasts. I was mowing the lawn today. I listened to SCD. I listened to the CBS. I listened to Split Zone Duo. No, I Split Zone Duo. The one whose name I always forget, and I feel with
Shutdown.
Anyways. Yes. Well, no, but yeah. The point is, when you listen to all these podcasts, they're an hour and a half long, right? And the Big 12's getting 10 minutes. The whole conference. They're having 15, 20-minute conversations about all these games and all these teams and all this stuff. USC losing and Michigan losing. And the Big 12 as a conference is getting 10 minutes on this because there was no big upset. There was no opportunity for a big upset like this. Yeah, there's a great game. Arizona State, Kansas was an awesome watch. Houston beats TCU and it's a blurb. The conference had already had a perception problem. And everyone likes to throw the comment of like, oh, we love the Big 12. It's so much fun. It's such a fun conference. Oh, it's so much fun. There's so much chaos. We love chaos. Yeah. It's starting to feel a little pandering when that's the go-to comment, right? It's kind of like the Big 12 is a fun conference because it's chaos. Is the Big 12 doesn't play defense. That's what we have gotten to. Like, it's not a compliment anymore. It doesn't feel like it. It feels like do you watch the Big 12? Or is that the line that everyone's now adopted when talking about the conference? Oh, I love the Big 12. It's so fun and chaotic, and it's so close. You just don't know what's going to happen. The Big 12 has a perception problem. You can't fix it this year unless a couple of teams, unless you get of BYU and Iowa State somehow both go undefeated and meet in the Big 12 championship, and now we've got an opportunity to make some waves with two teams that have really good records that are ranked higher and are both in the playoff. But the Big 12 has a perception problem. The number of teams who have an opportunity to fix that, there's still quite a few of them, but it's going to take a lot of work. And you can't do any of it outside of conference play. And I'm not sure how much weight that's going to carry. The Big 12's got to have to do something. It's fallen on the teams who unexpectedly are really good right now that we didn't necessarily maybe think we're going to be, to kind of carry the weight. That is BYU and Iowa State. And it's crazy to say it. 3-0 in conference play, Texas Tech. Like, yes, Kansas State, Utah still have the good perceptions. They both only have one loss. They could both win out. But some of these teams that we didn't expect a lot from, BYU, are now kind of going to have to take on the mantle of the Big 12 weight bearers moving forward to help the conference this season, because it's not in a great spot, to be honest.
There's one you're leaving out, and it is the one that could help the Big 12 the most.
Colorado.
Yes. And that is, we find out that they laid an egg at Nebraska, and they really are that good. If you have Colorado sitting there at 11-1 going to Arlington, like let's say they figure out a way to run the table, could you imagine that? A top 10 Colorado, the circus, the sideshow, the media frenzy, that there wouldn't be any 10 minutes of covering the whole Big 12. Those hour-and-a-half long podcasts, 30 minutes of it would be dedicated to Dion, and Dion will be on the podcast.
And that's my only defense for the Big 12 is that so many great teams were this year's great teams. We're on a bye last week. So nobody's talking about them right now on some of the podcasts we were listening to today. Like Colorado didn't play, Utah didn't play. But I mean, there's no denying. I mean, there's an issue. There's a real issue from a national perspective. We can dress it up all we want. I was telling a buddy of mine, I used to live in Charlotte, North Carolina. He lives in Charlotte. So we go back and forth. I'm saying the Big 12 is a better conference, basketball and football, than the ACC. And we go back and forth. But now I didn't foresee like Pitt being undefeated and Miami doing so well. And, he's coming at me with that nonsense. And I'm trying to tell him that we're chaotic and we're beating the heck out of each other every week. But, that's, I need more to stand on, conference, if I'm going to win this argument. I need more. I need Colorado, like you were saying, Joe, to really well exceed expectations. Right. And get that. And writers, by the way, from a national perspective, are remiss to give, Dion and his guys a tip of the cap for, and we all know there's people don't like, hey, it's AAU football or whatever. It's too much sizzle, not enough steak. I would argue that they have a lot of steak this year. I mean, we see the resilience that Shedeur Sanders plays with. I mean, that Baylor game, he was knocked down, it seemed like every play, and he gets up like nothing's wrong. The first possession in UCF in the driving rain, he throws a pick. It's like it never happened. And that is the type of guy that can continue to, hey, this is bigger than us right now. And hopefully, like you guys were talking about before I got on here, that luck factor, ball bouncing your way. One of these teams is really going to need that for them to go all the way to Arlington with one loss and for the conference to get two teams in.
I mean, it's going to be tough to get two teams in. Like, it just is.
For sure, yeah.
Like, it is a very tall order right now because it's not even entirely up to you. The SEC is going to get how many? And it doesn't matter. Like, they're going to. Like, all these losses, like, it's fine. They lost to other SEC schools. So, that's the greatness of the SEC, right?
And speaking of them real quick, like, it's going to get tougher and tougher for us to be the conference of chaos and the conference of fun when A&M is blowing out Missouri and Alabama's beating Georgia and then turning around and losing to Vandy. Like, hey, that's our bit.
Look, the Big 12
Take it easy, fellas,
is the conference of experimenting. We are the ones who get ahead of the curve, and then the SEC just comes in and steals what we do. We had offense first, and then they thought that they should probably have some. We're going back to learning how to run the ball and play defense. They'll do that eventually. We're the conference of chaos and upsets. Now they're going to take that. They just steal everything we have. That's just what it is. The SEC is just the Big 12 with a whole lot more money, right? So it's just. I'm sorry. I sometimes I say things and they leave my mouth before I actually think them through. Okay. I was going to have a hot take. I don't have a hot take. I don't. I think, Joe, you kind of covered it for me. It's a little bit hot take to be like the Big 12 now rests on how far can Colorado go.
Yeah.
And it's wild to say that. Like, I think if Iowa State can keep this going another week, the Iowa State buzz will really start, the Matt Campbell buzz, because people like Matt Campbell. People like the Iowa State story, and that might build. Like, let's get into this week, because I think that despite it being a light week from a number of games on the schedule in the Big 12, it's a really meaty week of 5 games. There's just 5 games. right? It was 16 teams. Was it 6 are off? We got 10 teams in action. One of them's on Friday night. It's an interesting slate. Let's run down it. Normally, what we do here at the end of the show is we each pick the game that we're most interested in. I want to kind of preview this weekend a little bit more in depth because I think it's a really sneaky good. We kick things off on Friday at 9:30 on ESPN. Utah at Arizona State. Utah coming off the week off. Cam Rising. I mean, I'll believe that he's actually going to play for Utah again when I see him there on the field with a helmet on, taking the snap from the center. At Arizona State, who's kind of one of the feel-goods of the Big 12, right? On Saturday, no 11 a.m. game again. No morning in the Big 12. UCF hosting Cincinnati at 2:30. By the way, these are all Central Time, God's time, mind you all. UCF hosting Cincinnati on ESPN2. Cincinnati, they're 3-2, but they're a better football team. UCF, 3-2 as well. Kind of on a downward trend. 3 o'clock on Fox, big noon, heading to Provo for BYU versus Arizona. We're getting big noon in a Big 12 school again. UCF blew their opportunity against Colorado, or Colorado took advantage of that opportunity. Now BYU's getting a shot with a 3 o'clock kick against Arizona in a big one. 7 o'clock on Fox. It's the Riot Bowl. Iowa State on the road to West Virginia. This is the Cole game, right? West Virginia's going to be wearing the Cole uniforms. I really wish Iowa State would show up and wear the white and black. I know we all have our opinions and the fact that Iowa State seems to hate their own school colors, but Iowa State in the all white against West Virginia in all black would be a heck of a show at 7 p.m. on Fox. And then 9:15, that Colorado team we talked about off of the week off, facing another team that's coming off of an idle week, Kansas State, in an old Big 8 matchup. So you got Kansas State, Colorado. You got Iowa State undefeated on the road at West Virginia in a night game. You got BYU hosting Big Noon against Arizona. UCF, Cincinnati, and Utah. We don't know who's going to play quarterback for them on the road at one of the most fun stories in the Big 12 this year, Arizona State. It's a really, for 5 games, I get it. There's no ranked on ranked. This isn't going to have the appeal that some of the other. It's a really meaty, to me, 5-game schedule and an easy opportunity to really be able to pay attention to all of them. 9:30 on Friday, you got Cincinnati, UCF, and Arizona, BYU kind of at the same time. One's a 2:30 kick, one's a 3. Then you get a 7 o'clock and a 9:15. It is an easy day to just sit and watch Big 12 football from 2:30 until late at night and really get an opportunity to watch some of these programs.
Everyone is either 1-1 or 2-0 in conference play. This is the week where you see that shift from who gets to be in the top and who's going to start going further down to like the bottom of the totem pole here. I am super stoked about the Kansas State Colorado game. Like, we talked about Colorado a little bit here, but this is where like maybe the Kansas State BYU game was just late night Provo magic. It's impossible to play there. Or hey, maybe Kansas State doesn't like altitude. It's another late night game. It's a mile high up there in Boulder. Maybe it's the same result. Who knows? If Colorado wins this one, I think they're officially legit and everybody will see them that way. If Kansas State wins this one, then they're starting to re-separate themselves and say, hey, where everybody thought we were coming into this year, we're still that team. We went on the road. We won a late night game. Now, we've got things back on track. So I'm really excited to watch that one.
Those 2 games you mentioned are the 2 that I'm so excited to watch as well. It's a scary one for Iowa State, by the way, going in and for the conference as a whole, going to play that night game in Morgantown. The Utah Arizona State game is a lot of fun. I think obviously the quarterback situation at Utah, which didn't seem like, hey, they got great defense. Mekhi Bernard's playing awesome. It's like a control game, but once Isaac Wilson is asked to do too much, it's very clear that the team can't get it done. And I think that the huge, he's a 19-year-old true freshman. And you talk about Cam Rising, that's a 25-year-old man with so much experience. That's a huge difference just from the play we're talking about, the ability, the skill set, and then just the experience and the know-how to win games, a tough game like this right on the road, in Sun Devil Stadium. I think that, what's super telling is the Colorado, Kansas State Kansas State laying 6 points, going on the road in that crazy environment to play Colorado. I again, and Kansas State's track record playing against, like you mentioned, Joe, on the road at night in Provo, and either one of those teams winning wouldn't shock me, Colorado or Kansas State. But we're just going to learn so much about the teams in this conference. And the one thing that jumps off of me, though, that's what I started with, is Iowa State. I mean, they can't lose that game. When you look at the overall good of the conference, being ranked 11th in the country, but they just might. I mean, that's a real tough situation, especially after West Virginia showed us, or I guess we find out how bad Oklahoma State is, but they certainly just, beating the brakes off the Cowboys was pretty impressive.
I love this weekend.
Yeah.
I do. I think it, again, Kansas State, Colorado. It's 2 4-1 teams. The winner of that's sitting pretty. This is going to be a game people are going to talk about on the national podcast and the national media. It's going to be one people watch. It's a 9:15 kickoff. Iowa State at West Virginia. It's the Riot Bowl. We don't have to make up a trophy. I love making up fake trophies every week for these games. I don't got to make up a fake trophy for this one. It is literally just a gas can with stickers all over it. It's going to be a great game. Arizona, BYU, they've got history. And Big Noon being in Provo, UCF Cincinnati is the I'm going to use air quotes, worst game. They're both 1-1. Someone's going to be sitting in a good spot, and someone's going to be, if it's UCF as the loser, hello, Tailspin, and I don't mean the Disney cartoon we all used to watch after school in the afternoon. And then Utah, if Cam Rising's back on a Friday night at 9:30 when they have the national spotlight, if Cam Rising comes back, goes into Arizona State and wins big, Utah's going to put themselves right back into the conversation, right back into the picture, and that's going to be good for the conference. If he's not, every single Big 12 fan is going to be rooting hard for Arizona State because nobody likes Utah because their fans were obnoxious to the entire process of them joining the conference. So, forks up. We're all Sun Devils fans. I just, it's a really good opportunity if you're a fan of the Big 12 to just, especially if your team's off this weekend and maybe you're an LSU fan who doesn't really want to have to watch your team play and you're excited to just watch football that doesn't negatively impact your emotional state of being on the Saturday. I did turn that game off. My girls were getting fussy. It was I could force them to just sit and let me watch us get pounded into the sand, or I could put on a show for them.
What was the show though?
And I'll do
As
something
a 3-year-old
else.
dad, what was the show?
What did we watch? Shoot.
Oh,
I don't remember. I don't know.
There's a show called Super Wings that has taken over my house. You should check it out. It's terrible. It's horrendous. It's awful.
No, we got it was either Wild Kratts.
Wild Kratts is some elite content though.
No, it's Wild Kratts is awesome. No, we do not watch. We are not a Paw Patrol house. We have avoided that. We do. It wasn't a princess show. No, I literally, hold on. I think I know I tweeted about it. Now I can't remember if I actually tweeted what the show was.
This has major impact on the Big 12's
one thing.
Isn't this great? Oh yeah, it was the Curious George.
Oh, nice.
Okay, there you go.
Love it.
Excellent. Yeah.
I'm so here for Halloween.
Yeah.
Bring it on.
We have the lists of all the Halloween specials, which are not as many as there should be, because sometimes you got to go with some bad shows. You're like, this is awful. My girls love Spookly the Square Pumpkin, and it's straight up bad. It's just bad. They love it. They've got the Tony of the Pumpkin. They sing the song. It's awful. It is straight up kid stuff. You're like, was this? All right, that's fine. You all love it. That's cool. That's great. Y'all, that's fine. It's only cute when my 2-year-old can sing the song. So it's fine. All right. I am a girl dad. I love it. I will deal with this. But yeah, no. Halloween specials, Christmas specials, this is the fun of kids. So no, I'm a very picky, my wife and I are very picky what we put on. I don't want to watch stupid kids things. I will not. We're much better with calming things are good for your children. They should not watch things that when they're done, they're like spastic. Like they don't need help. They're small children. Okay. They do not need assistance in being.
Phillip, you said earlier that this
chaotic.
is not a visual medium. The folks will not get to see your face and how you lit your eyes up when you said you don't want your kids to be afterwards.
No.
Extremely hyperactive place.
Yeah.
Well, hey, one last thing about Saturday's games, and I'm just thinking about this from like a TV perspective. You see how the lead-in is Florida, Tennessee. That's going to lead into Colorado and Kansas State, right, on ESPN starting at 9:30. And then the big game, Ole Miss, LSU, that'll be over. I mean, the world, if you want to, will be watching Colorado, Kansas State. If that game's good at all, like the numbers will go through the roof. Which I mean, it'll probably be, or potentially could be, one of the most watched games outside of Texas, Oklahoma, on Saturday, which is another good opportunity for the conference.
We need that game to end with a game-winning Hail Mary.
We need it to be the Colorado State game from last year.
Yes, totally.
Yes, double overtime, just absolute, and not like double overtime because neither team seems to want to win. Like double overtime because Avery Johnson and Shadur Sanders are both doing incredible things with a football that just make you go, did you see, and then Twitter is just like blowing up like. You get 300 tweets in a row that are all just like, OMG. It's the same thing because no one has any creativity. We're all mob mindset. Then one guy is like, that was incredible. Like, no, we're saying OMG, Steve. God, I'm just inviting Steve to this whole text thread. Okay. This was fun. Pete, thank you so much for joining us
pleasure.
today.
Like I said, I listen to you guys a lot, and it's a real privilege to be asked to be on here. I'm available anytime. So it was a treat.
Absolutely. Well, do me a favor. Now, I don't know that everybody is aware about the new Inside Big 12 show.
Okay.
Where can we watch it? Where can we see it? Give us all the details about the show.
It's myself, Madison Hawk. It's specifically called Inside the 12. It's like a football breakdown show right now. It's just, it could grow into something else like when basketball season starts, but right now it is just football. You can watch it on the Big 12's YouTube channel. If you live in a market where you have a Big 12 team, pretty soon that'll be coming to you on local stations like over the air. They're getting that distribution set. And, it's every week. It's, I guess, 7. Well, let's do this the right way. Central time. That's God's time. So it drops at 7 Central on Thursdays. And it's a real cool deal. We're pumped to be doing it. And I've called Big 12 games, football and basketball for ESPN for about 3 years now. And it's so cool to be a part of something like this. As a conference, it's a real good sign, right, of the growth of the conference and what the Big 12 is doing, putting certain resources behind it. So all good stuff.
I've been said for a while, like the Big 12 needs more of this. Like the Big 12 needs more coverage of the Big 12.
Yeah.
As the SEC network continues to have their stuff and the ACC network has their stuff and the Big Ten's got their voices on Fox, like the lack of Big 12 voices, right, are a media problem. Like the Big 12 is just a conference that also gets coverage, whereas the SEC has voices and the ACC has voices and the Big Ten has voices. The Pac-12 had voices, not that it helped them, but that's a whole other story for a different show. But like the Big 12 has just, and across multiple sports, outside of basketball, like basketball, there's plenty of Big 12 voices in men's basketball. But like outside of that, there's just not as many Big 12 voices, and we lost a ton of them when OU left because a lot of the Big 12 voices were OU alums and people in the OU media. And now that they're not talking Big 12, I notice a sizable dent. So I'm thrilled to see that the Big 12 is investing in trying to get more out there outside of just the games to offer fans more opportunity to get Big 12 content.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're seeing it and their commitment to it and their want to, they have all kinds of interesting plans. And I look forward to seeing them come to fruition.
Pete, again, thank you so much. We appreciate you joining us today. Joe, thank you for filling in for Andy. You, of course, are one half I don't know. How do you describe what half you are of the Bear Den?
I'm
podcast?
the young half because even though I am old, Matt is sneaky old. He's sneaky old, man.
Like I didn't read. Like his kids are a lot older.
Yeah,
than
he's got like he's got a kid. One of his daughters will be in college soon.
I was just like, wait,
yeah,
what? Like I know I started late, and that's fine. But I was just
yeah.
okay.
He's so that's how I would describe it. I'm young. I'm the young one, even though I'm going gray.
Joe brings the young energy to the podcast. Somebody.
Matt has the creakier joints than I do.
Go check out the Bear Den podcast, our Baylor show here in the network. Check out every show in the network at 1012network.com, TE in the number 12, the word network. We will be back on Thursday. Myself and Chase will have a guest this week. Fingers crossed there's no last minute cancellation for picks. We'll be making picks for the 5 games that we mentioned. We'll have a non-Big 12 pick as well. Y'all enjoy your week. We will talk to you again then.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.